listening to Crystal Clear Lore, a Wormsong production. During the fiercest days of summer, when the sun blazed like an angry god in the lion's own sky, terror descended upon the valley of Nemea, not from invading spears or creeping plague, but from a single golden lion whose coat shimmered like living sunlight. The beast had come down from the high hills, slaughtering livestock and scattering warriors as if they were no more than mice. Each dawn brought new tales of horror, entire herds dragged away, brave men torn apart. The people flooded the palace gates, pleading with King Eurystheus to send a champion, but the king hesitated. He feared that any hero mighty enough to slay such a monster might turn that same strength against the throne. While he dithered, the deaths mounted and the survivors' grief turned to rage. Riots shook the palace walls. At last, swallowing his pride, King Eurystheus sent a message to every corner of the known lands, promising rich rewards to whoever could deliver the kingdom from the Golden Terror. Far to the south, in a sun-baked square in Sparta, one such messenger delivered the call. Most listeners paled at the tale, yet among them stood Leonidas, broad-shouldered and golden-haired, a warrior poet known as much for his ringing laugh and generous feasts as for his skill with the blade and bow. He threw back his head and roared with laughter. "I'm the child of the sun itself," he declared, voice carrying like thunder across the square. "No mere beast can dim my fire. I will slay this lion and claim its hide as my mantle." The fearful crowd erupted into cheers. Men clapped him on the back. Women threw flowers at his feet. The messenger, an older man named Pelias, tried to temper the young hero's blaze. "This is no ordinary creature, my lord. Many have tried. Confidence alone shall not pierce its hide." Leonidas grinned, eyes flashing. "Then it shall be my arrows and sword that teach it otherwise." Together they rode toward Nemea. Alas, fate, ever fond of humbling the proud, brought the lion across their path before they even reached the valley. The beast emerged from the scrub like a piece of the sun broken loose, massive, radiant, and terrible. Pelias drew his sword with a trembling hand. Leonidas, heart pounding with excitement more than fear, nocked an arrow and loosed it. The shaft flew true and bounced harmlessly off the lion's golden flank. Again and again he fired. Each arrow clattered away. With a roar that split the sky, the lion suddenly charged. Leonidas dropped his bow and drew his sword in one fluid motion. "Come then!" he shouted, spinning to meet the beast. The lion swiped. Leonidas danced aside and struck a mighty blow to its head. The blade rang like a bell for a split second before shattering against the impenetrable hide, leaving him holding only a jagged hilt. Weaponless and suddenly small before the raging sun beast, Leonidas did the only thing left to a hero. He ran. He caught up to Pelias, who had wisely fallen back. "Thank the gods you live," the older man gasped. "Let us reach Nemea quickly. Surely they will have devised some weapon that can pierce its skin." Leonidas said nothing. He followed in silence, jaw tight, choking on the bitter ashes of his pride. Word of Leonidas' survival reached Nemea before him, but the tale was already twisted. Some tellings were of a hero who had faced the beast and lived. Others scoffed that the golden lion had sent another fool fleeing with his tail between his legs. When Leonidas arrived at the palace, dust-covered and carrying only a shattered sword hilt, King Eurystheus greeted him with barely concealed relief. "You still live," the king said, his voice thin. "Many have not." Leonidas forced a smile, though his pride still burned like an untreated wound. "The beast is formidable, my lord. No arrow or blade can harm it. I will need more than steel to bring it down." The king's vizier stepped forward.
"There is an ancient cave in the hills where the lion makes its lair, a place where sunlight has never touched. Many say it is the mouth of the underworld itself. If you would face the creature again, that is where you must go.
That night, as the sun bled red across the horizon, Leonidas prepared alone. The doubt of the last encounter with the beast began to root in his mind, but he brushed it aside. "I am still the child of the sun," he told himself. "Even in darkness, my light will not fail." He set out at dusk, cloak billowing, a single torch in hand. The hills rose steep and silent. When he reached the cave's yawning mouth, the air grew thick and cool, carrying the heavy scent of blood and wild musk. The torch flickered as if afraid, even if Leonidas was not. He strode inside. Deeper and deeper he went, until the tunnel opened into a vast chamber where even his torch seemed dim. There, coiled in shadow, lay the golden lion. Its eyes gleamed like twin suns, reflecting the light. For a moment, man and beast regarded each other, two proud beings born of fire. The lion rose with terrible grace and roared. The sound shook dust from the ceiling and nearly extinguished the torch. Leonidas charged with a battle cry, swinging a fresh sword he had taken from the king's armory. The blade struck true across the lion's flank and shattered like glass. The beast swiped, its claws carving deep furrows into the stone wall where Leonidas had stood a heartbeat before. Again and again he attacked, using spear, knife, and even rocks pried from the cave floor. Nothing pierced the golden hide. The lion toyed with him at first, then grew furious. In the suffocating darkness, Leonidas' strength began to fail. His muscles burned. His breath came in ragged gasps. For the first time in his life, the warrior felt truly small. In a desperate grapple, he seized the lion's mane and wrestled it to the ground. The beast's weight crushed him. Its hot breath scorched his face. As claws raked his side, drawing blood, a vision flashed before Leonidas' eyes. The faces of the people he had promised to save. The feasts he had hosted, not for their joy, but for the cheers they gave him. Elias's quiet warning he had laughed away. Pride alone had brought him here. Pride would not save him. With a roar that matched the lion's own, Leonidas released his broken weapons. He wrapped his powerful arms around the beast's thick neck and squeezed with everything he had left. Strength, fury, and a dawning humility. The lion thrashed wildly, slamming him against the cave walls, but he held on. Hours seemed to pass in that brutal embrace. Blood from his wounds mixed with the lion's sweat. The torch had long since gone out. Finally, with a shuddering gasp, the golden lion went still. Exhausted and bleeding, Leonidas lay beside the fallen beast. In the total darkness, he reached out and felt the lion's razor-sharp claws. Using one as a blade, he carefully skinned the creature, just as an inner voice, whether from the gods or perhaps his own now wiser self, seemed to guide him. The golden hide came away whole, warm and glowing faintly even without light. When he finally staggered from the cave at dawn, dragging the pelt behind him, the people of Nemea who had gathered at the foot of the hills fell to their knees in awe. The pelt shimmered like captured sunlight. Leonidas, no longer the boastful warrior who had left days earlier, stood tall but quiet. He did not drape the hide over his shoulders as a trophy for himself alone. Instead, he cut portions of it and fashioned protective talismans for the bravest warriors and shields for the farmers. The remainder he wore as a cloak, but he declared it a mantle of the people. "I slew the lion not for glory," he told the gathered crowd, his voice steady and warm, "but so that its strength might shield us all. Let no man rule through fear or pride alone. A true king is a sun that warms his pride, not one that scorches the earth." King Eurystheus, seeing the hero's transformed spirit and the love the people now bore him, stepped down without protest. Leonidas was crowned in a grand ceremony filled with song, feasting, and games in honor of the slain lion. He established the Nemean Games, athletic contests, poetic recitals, and displays of generosity, so that courage and creativity would always be celebrated. In time, The goddess Hera appeared to Leonidas in a dream. She revealed that the beast had once been her proud champion, corrupted by solitude and unchecked power. By facing it with both strength and humility, Leonidas had restored balance to the mortal realm. As a final blessing, she lifted the lion's spirit into the heavens. There it became the constellation Leo, its heart blazing as the star known as Regulus. From that day forward, whenever the sun passed through the lion's domain in the hottest days of summer, people remember the tale that true leadership is forged in darkness, tempered by humility, and worn not for oneself, but for the pride one protects. And so Leonidas ruled with fire in his heart and wisdom in his hands, his golden cloak a beacon of courage and generosity for generations to come.
Welcome back to Crystal Clear Lore. I'm Crystal, and today with me is Lionbait Brady. That was really hard to say for some reason. I almost called you Lionbait Baby, so that's fun. So today we have made it to the most feline sign in the Zodiac, Leo. Leo the lion. So I know Cancer is my sun sign, and that's kind of the sun sign and the rising sign are Cancer for me. Leo is my moon sign. So I am Cancer, Leo, Cancer. I'm very summer oriented. So what it means is, so the moon sign is how I present in my day-to-day life out in the public. Although the inside part is a Cancer and people's first impression of me is a Cancer, my public face, my public persona is a Leo. So Leo is, again, derived from Latin, and it literally translates to lion, which is kind of nice.
Well, the other one was crab.
Yeah, Cancer was crab. I think Gemini means twins. Taurus means bull. It's very straightforward, most of it so far.
I think keeping it easy to understand, at least.
Yeah, that's true. So Leo is usually represented by the male lion, and that is not the lioness, right? So that's a different creature. It's very much the male lion with the big shaggy mane.
Yeah, every time I was trying to generate pictures for Sekhmet, it would just give me the male lion.
Still better than God of Wars. So you know Leos, and I know Leos. And one of our best friends' husband is a Leo. So I feel like we've encountered enough of them in the wild that hopefully this kind of speaks true to them. Leos are known as the leader, as they are bold, charismatic, confident, and dramatic. They are also known for being generous, warm-hearted, and they love being the center of attention. So Leos, if you're listening, keep that last one in check because that can easily fall into a very narcissistic personality. And just because you're the leader, you can also fall into being bossy and micromanaging.
Is it true that most entertainers are Leos?
There is a lot of them. So they're just drawn to that spotlight where a lot of others aren't.
Okay.
It's not universal, but there's a lot. Okay, so normally we talk about their symbol, right? Because Cancer's was 69. Gemini's was literally the Roman numeral for 2. I don't know how to describe Leos. Leos looks like a sperm whose tail tried to make the shape of a lowercase n. And I'm hoping that makes sense because I don't know how else to describe it.
Yeah.
I showed you it. I asked you to describe it and you're like, that's a sperm. Glad it wasn't just me. Leo season is July 23rd to August 22nd, which means that when this episode comes out, it will have literally just started. Leos are ruled by the sun, which makes sense because they are usually these big, fiery personalities, right? Sometimes they're spicy, but they're usually these big, bold, bright personalities. You know when a Leo is in the room most of the time. They are the fixed fire sign. So fire signs are usually warm-hearted, they're in love with life, and they want to have a good time. Whereas a fixed sign is usually focused, determined, and reliable. Now, the interesting thing here is when I was looking into this, reliability is not always what you would think, right, for a Leo. I have known Leos that are reliable, they always show up for you. You can always count on them to have your back. But I've also seen Leos that have a very patternistic behavior that is reliable. Does that make sense?
Sure.
So one Leo I worked with, you could rely on her to never lotion her hands, ever. She has very dry hands. Another Leo we know is always 15 minutes late. It's like a habitual pattern. So you can rely on that person for that behavior.
Ah, they're very consistent.
Yeah, that's the word I was looking for. Patternistic was my brain, but not the word consistent. Can't use that.
That's what you get for being a writer.
This is fair. So like Cancer, Leo's Greek origin does deal with Heracles' 12 labors. From the story, can you guess which one?
No.
The Nemean Lion.
Oh.
The Nemean Lion was like it was in the story. It had golden fur that was impenetrable. However, instead of just murdering a bunch of people, it was way craftier and did some really fun stuff. I'm going to say fun in quotes. So the Nemean Lion was out kidnapping women, right? He would use the women as bait to lure unsuspecting warriors into his cave and then eat the warriors. So say he goes out, grabs Jane by the hair, he pulls Jane into his cave, right? He kills and eats Jane. Well, then he transforms into Jane, like all tied up and like, ooh, help me, Mr. Warrior Man, or whatever he would say. I'm paraphrasing. Don't take this literally. A warrior or somebody who was sent to like, go get my wife back or go get Jane back would rush in to save her. And then right as he gets close, it's like, oh, Jane, you're okay. The woman transforms back into the lion and kills and eats the man.
Well, there you go.
Very smart lion and also magical. So props to the lion for good strategy. Now, Heracles, as one of his 12 labors he had to accomplish, had to enter the cave and kill the lion with his bare hands, like our fictional Leonidas, because no mortal weapon could pierce the skin. One thing differently I added, though, was that once the lion was killed, Heracles did make armor with the lion's pelt, and he used that for the rest of his days. Pretty smart. Of course, the Greek one is the main one for the Zodiac again. In Mesopotamia, legends note the constellation not as Leo, but as Urgula. And records show us that they thought of the constellation in two different ways. The first is a representation of their lioness goddess of love and war, Inanna. Now, Inanna is very similar to Sekhmet, who we did cover earlier, but she deserves her own full episode. So I'm going to keep this part short. She's pretty much the lioness goddess, love, war. She represents royalty, passion, and like fierce protectiveness. The other tie in Mesopotamia comes from the Epic of Gilgamesh, which we've talked about before. It's like one of the oldest literary works known to man that survived. It might be the oldest, but I'm not sure because I think there might be some things over in East Asia, like China, that might be older.
It's the oldest Western literary work.
Yeah, I would say Western for sure. But yeah, when it comes to like looking at the world, I'm like, it's a little complicated. In the Epic of Gilgamesh, there's a lion-faced giant named Humbaba. I tried to say his name so many times without giggling. While Humbaba was an antagonist of Gilgamesh, so he's the enemy, right? He was considered to have both divine majesty and earthly power. Pretty much he was seen as a ruler over the wilds, much like the lion is the king of the jungle. So very similar colloquial tie to lionhood there. And since we mentioned Sekhmet, I have to bring her back up because she is the Kemetic tie or Egyptian tie to Leo. What other lion god do you know out of Egypt or goddess? We did talk about her son, but he's really not that well known. Sekhmet's the big one that's pretty well known. We did do a whole episode on her back in March, episode 25. I really urge, if you want to know more about Sekhmet, go listen to that because it is chock full of details about the lovely lady. For a quick refresher, Sekhmet is the lion-headed goddess of war and healing, yes, both, in Egypt. She is best known for being sent by Ra to kill humanity when they no longer felt like paying respect to the gods. This ended up with her really liking the taste of blood, and then she didn't want to stop killing people because she really liked the taste.
She's a lion.
So she only stopped killing after beer was poured into the Nile, and then she got super drunk and passed out.
Yeah, that'll do it.
Millennial parties, am I right? When Leo was in the sky, though, the interesting part I found about this is that it was a big time to celebrate, as that was when the Nile would flood, providing the Egyptians with fertile soil to farm. That's where the Kemet comes from, because Kemet means black land. The land would turn black after the flooding. Now, the Norse are always weird because they were in a different part of the world, but they are a pretty big pantheon to look at lore stuff from, so I like to include them. I'm really struggling with some of the Norse stuff because there's so few records that got left. A lot of them didn't write stuff down, and a lot of what was written down didn't survive or got translated later by I think mostly Snorri Snorkelson, who tried to make it vibe with Christianity so he could at least record it.
I just found out today that there were alternate versions of Disney films, like The Emperor's New Groove and such,
What?
that were Christian for the Catholic Church.
What?
They were edited for Catholics.
How?
Yeah, look into that.
How do you make The Emperor's New Groove Catholic?
You tell me,
Can we have St. Cusco?
I think.
St. Cusco of the Groove. Ooh, that's a research hole I'm going to go down later.
Yeah, you might find that fascinating. I kind of want to watch the alternate versions, not going to lie.
I kind of do too. That's crazy. So back to the Norse. What remains for the records is that the Leo constellation they thought of as a wolf, specifically the constellation of Fenrir.
I mean, it can be anything. It's a fucking triangle.
This one actually is kind of like a, what is it called? Not a parallelogram, like a rhombus type shape with like a little neck coming off of it.
Oh.
This one's actually a lot closer. Some of them are weird. But they attribute it to a wolf because lions also, the Nordic people would never have seen a lion. They would have seen big ass wolves. I do understand they were like, wolf. Got it. Fenrir, if you don't know, I know a lot of people played God of War Ragnarok. And that does give you a little bit of info on Fenrir, but they kind of messed with it a little bit. So Fenrir is the ginormous wolf who will be set free from his chains when Ragnarok happens so he can swallow Odin whole. Props. He is tied up, he is chained, he only gets out of his chains when the end of days comes, and then he devours Odin whole. I have complicated feelings about that because the Nordic pantheon makes me have complicated feelings. He is actually, so this is why I brought up the God of War thing. In the game Ragnarok, spoilers if you haven't played, Kratos' son is Atreus, who his mom wanted to name Loki, right?
I think it's pronounced Atreus, but
Atreus.
yes.
Yeah, Atreus.
Yeah, and she
So
wanted to name
Loki.
him Loki.
But Loki, in the game, Atreus, he like finds Fenrir and like keeps him as like a pet or companion or something, right? That's not Fenrir's origin. Fenrir is actually one of the more well-known children of Loki and his wife Angerbotha. Don't ask me how Loki made a wolf baby, but he did. Just like you don't ask me how Loki is also the father of Jormungandr, the world serpent, and Sleipnir. Wait, he's not really the father of Sleipnir. He's like the parent of Sleipnir. Loki's episode is going to be very interesting because there's a lot of weird lore around him. He's a weird one. As the more I'm digging into it, the more I'm like, okay, what Zeus is to the Greeks of just like, he's always there and he's always the reason things are a little weird. That's what Loki is to the Nords. He's always there and he's always the reason that things are a little weird. Although I will say most of it's not Loki sticking his dick in everything. That is nice. I do appreciate the diversity. So to summarize Leo, before we get too late onto this recording and Brady and I completely fall asleep because it's late. Leos are the lions and they are the natural born leaders of the Zodiac. They are very passionate people. They have reliable tendencies and enjoy being front and center with all eyes on them. If you need somebody to do a presentation, or just be center stage, put a Leo there. They'll be great.
Noted.
Well, this isn't...
Replace you with a Leo.
Oh, God, please. I will go back in my shell. I will go back in my shell so hard. But remember, my moon sign is a Leo, so I do present as a Leo. And then I go back into my Krebs show at the end of the day and go, oh, it's nice.
Yeah, I just get the shell part of the day.
Well, being front and center, having all eyes on them, right? That's not necessarily a bad thing. It is a slippery slope that Leos need to watch out for. Don't want to turn into a bossy and narcissistic personality. That would be...
A Karen?
You need to be a Karen. I mean, Karens come from all Zodiac, but like they have a more direct route there. You know what I mean?
Fair.
They have the Strait of Hormuz to Karenhood.
Too soon?
It might be too soon. I don't know. I didn't even know about this strait until like in the last year.
I'd never heard of it. It's apparently extremely important piece of geography.
Super important. Love how we didn't learn it at all.
I love how side tangent. I love how in 2026 in the recent era, we learn about all these really important things through really bad things.
Mm-hmm. It's about normal.
So just learn from us at Crystal Clear Lore instead.
Yeah, exactly. And then the lion motif of it has been widely attributed to either a lioness goddess, an invincible lion who is eating people, or a bound wolf that will eat Odin at the end of days. There's a lot of cannibalistic tendencies going on here.
Yeah, there is.
Because like Sekhmet eats people, Fenrir eats Odin eventually, and then the Nemean Lion was eating people.
It's like we're food to the gods. Like in that High on Life game, we were just like the pills, like the recreational drug. What are we?
You don't even know.
Are we a drug? Are we what? What are we, food? What are we supposed to be?
No one knows. That's why it's a complicated mess.
Maybe we're just toys.
It might be. Well, happy Leo season to all my Leos, because this does come out right at the beginning of it. And I hope that for the most part, we were able to make Leo crystal clear. Bye.
Bye.
Follow us on Threads and Insta at Wormsong Media. That's WYRMSONG Media. Want to reach out to us? Email us at wormsongmedia@gmail.com. Again, that's WYRMSONGMEDIA@gmail.com.